What if magic, the greatest tool in your D&D world, was also its most insidious poison? Imagine a world where magic isn't a hidden force, but the very lifeblood of the land. It flows through mountains like rivers and builds entire civilizations. Miracles are just a part of daily life. Farmers use minor enchantments to protect their crops. Airships powered by arcane engines fill the skies, and even the smallest village has a hedge witch who can cure most ailments. But what if that power had a price that was long forgotten? This tutorial is about building that world, a setting where the very source of wonder has become a cancer. We're not going to talk about a single evil wizard or a demon invasion. Instead, we're exploring a world where the very act of using magic is a corrupting force, where power itself is the villain. We'll explore how you, as the dungeon master, can design a campaign setting where absolute power corrupts absolutely, and where your players become the last hope for a world being devoured from the inside out. But before you can show the fall, you must first establish the height from which the world will plummet. Your first step is to design the Golden Age, the era of prosperity that your players will hear about in the ancient texts, and mourn as they witness what the world has become. This is where magic is a tool for creation and a symbol of hope. Mages raise gleaming cities of impossible architecture. Druids coax impossible harvests from the soil, turning deserts into gardens. Clerics mend the deepest wounds with a touch. Let players discover ruins of floating gardens now crashed to the earth, their exotic flowers still blooming amid the wreckage. Show them remnants of a transportation network where enchanted stones once teleported travelers across continents in seconds. For instance, imagine grand dwarven kingdoms humming with enchantments that made stone as soft as clay during construction, allowing them to carve entire mountain ranges into breathtaking works of art. Picture elven cities where every building was a living tree, shaped through a patient magic into crystalline forms that sang in the wind. In this era, magic is seen as a gift, an infinite, benevolent wellspring that would never run dry. The most brilliant minds wrote treatises on the inexhaustible nature of the arcane, and philosophers debated not whether magic should be used, but simply how to use it most beautifully. There were no limits, no conservation efforts, no warnings. Why would there be? Magic had served civilization for millennia without consequence. Then you plant the seed of its destruction. This source of corruption should be born from ambition or hubris. Perhaps those master dwarven craftsmen, in their hunger to dig deeper, unearthed an entity of pure destructive hunger, a fragment of primordial chaos. They couldn't destroy it, so they chose to contain it. They built a prison, not a tomb to honor a king, but a cage for an unspeakable evil. Give it an evocative name like Thorgrim's Folly. For thousands of years, the prison holds. The dwarven kingdom falls for unrelated reasons. Other peoples move in, and the prison's purpose is forgotten. The world thrives unaware of the cancer sleeping beneath, held back by increasingly fragile wards. The end of your world shouldn't begin with a sudden invasion. For a corruption-themed campaign, the horror is more effective when it's a silent, creeping rot. Your next step is to design the Awakening, deep underground. The ancient wards of Thorgrim's Folly finally begin to fail, perhaps because no one has maintained them in 3,000 years, or because the sheer volume of magic used in the world above has worn them down. The evil inside doesn't burst forth. It exhales, a slow breath of corruption seeps into the stone, water, and the very ley lines of magic. The first signs should be subtle enough to be dismissed. A tremor in a region that's never known one, or a farmer's well turning dark. A patch of forest where leaves grow brittle in midsummer. These aren't world-ending catastrophes yet. They are bad omens and local curiosities. This slow burn approach allows the corruption to spread through the world's magical veins before anyone realizes there's a plague. You're not releasing a monster, you're poisoning the world's power source. Soon those subtle hints must become undeniable. This is where you show the tangible, terrifying effects. Fertile plains turn into gray, lifeless dust bowls. Give this phenomenon a name like the defiling or the blight. These blighted zones should be actively dangerous, the air thick with dread, shadows whispering maddening secrets. Make it personal by zooming in on a single community. Use a village called Oakhaven as a template. First, describe unnatural environmental changes. The village's ancient oak with twisted branches that reach like grasping fingers, leaves turned purple-gray. Then, introduce biological mutations. Calves born with 2 heads, birds with broken wings that still fly. Finally, show how it affects people. For spellcasters, a strange tingle when using magic. Their spells work but show small corruptions. Healing that leaves skin discolored. Light spells that attract phantom moths. For non-casters, psychological degradation. Paranoid thoughts, violent compulsions. A village like Oakhaven isn't destroyed by a monster. It devours itself as trust dies and every neighbor becomes suspect. To make corruption a meaningful threat, you need rules. Using magic should feel like a gamble. Implement a corruption score that tracks exposure. Every time a character spends extended time in a blighted area or casts a spell of 3rd level or higher, they make a saving throw against a DC determined by the severity of the blight or the spell level. On a failure, they gain a corruption point. As that score increases, consequences escalate in both mechanical and narrative ways. At low levels, 1 to 2 points, effects are minor and roleplay focused. Hallucinations only they can see. Disadvantage on social checks because people instinctively feel uneasy around them. Shadows that lag slightly behind movements or plants that wilt at their touch. At medium levels, 3 to 4 points, introduced undeniable physical marks. Darkened skin spreading from fingertips up the arms, eyes that glow faintly in darkness like an animal's. Shadows that move independently and sometimes gesture before the character does. At high levels, 5 to 6 points, casting any magic triggers a roll on a wild magic table. Spells might backfire and affect random targets, damage types might change to necrotic, or the caster might take half the spell's damage themselves. The power is still available, but using it means inviting darkness to take another piece of you. At 6+ points, the character becomes an NPC, transformed into a corrupted creature driven by the entity's malevolent will. A magical plague shatters society. How do civilizations react to an enemy that can't fight with armies? Some turn to fanaticism. Create hunter enclaves. Zealot. Create hunter enclaves, zealots who believe the only solution is purging anyone showing signs of any corruption. They're not evil cultists. Many genuinely believe they're saving the world, which makes them impossible to reason with. Other leaders see corruption as a weapon. Tyrants use tainted artifacts to enforce their will, creating paranoid states racked by purges. The accusation of corruption becomes a political tool. This panic leads to knowledge hoarding. Mages lock themselves away, guarding what little clean magic remains. This creates inequality where only the rich can afford safe magic, leading to a black market for forbidden spell casting. Some settlements ban magic entirely, meaning people die of treatable injuries because they're too afraid to seek help. Create competing factions, the ascetics who want to abandon magic entirely, or the pragmatists who argue for strict rationing and control. The researchers desperately seek a cure through questionable experiments. The fatalists who believe the world is ending and encourage using whatever magic remains. The corruption must curse all living things. A high corruption score should manifest in character-altering ways. Physical changes might seem beneficial, like tougher skin or enhanced strength, but always cost sanity or soul. That tough skin is gray and scaly, imposing disadvantage on charisma checks. Enhanced strength comes with uncontrollable rage. Consider what happens when creatures become fully corrupt, transformation into mindless monsters, or bodies that simply detonate in blasts of corrupted energy. Think about how this affects different ancestries. Elves, with their natural magic connection, feel the taint acutely, making them both tragic victims and ruthless hunters. Dwarves might crystallize from the inside out. Halflings lose their natural fear resistance. Animals mutate into grotesque parodies deer with too many legs, and bears whose fur has fallen out, revealing skin covered in mouths. Wolves that share a single consciousness. These creatures don't just hunt for food. They hunt to spread the corruption, deliberately targeting spellcasters. In a world crumbling under fear, why are the players the ones to fight back? The answer: everyone else has failed. Governments have collapsed or become tyrannical. Religious orders are lost in witch hunts. The most powerful mages are in hiding, corrupted or dead. This power vacuum is where the heroes come in. Adventurers are the only ones free and resilient enough to travel blighted lands without political allegiance or institutional dogma. Frame them as the world's immune system, a desperate effort to fight the infection from within. They can walk into the heart of decay because they carry a spark of hope not yet extinguished. Give them reason to believe they might succeed where others have failed. Perhaps a prophecy speaks of heroes untouched by corruption. Perhaps they've discovered unique resistance. Or perhaps they're simply determined to use their luck while they have it. The only way to save the world is to go to the source. The quest takes heroes across defiled wastelands and into ruined cities where survivors are as dangerous as monsters. Their ultimate goal: reach the origin point, Thorgrim's Folly. Design this journey in stages. First, they must uncover forgotten history by delving into the ancient libraries and interviewing survivors. Second, they gather necessary tools through dangerous quests. Third, they journey to the Folly itself through the most corrupted region imaginable, where reality is thin and corrupted creatures swarm by the hundreds. The final objective should offer multiple solutions, none easy. Reforge the broken wards through a ritual requiring personal sacrifice. Create a holy artifact to purify the entity, though it requires one character to merge with it permanently. Or confront the entity head-on in direct combat, not just as a monster with hit points, but a cosmic force attacking minds and souls, offering power if they surrender. Whatever the path, it should feel like a near suicidal mission where the ultimate price of power will be paid. Even if players succeed, the damage can't be fully undone. Blighted zones remain dangerous. Corrupted people don't magically recover. Collapsed societies don't rebuild overnight. They've stopped the bleeding, but the patient is still critically wounded. Following these 8 steps provides the building blocks for a world on a razor's edge. Its greatest strength, magic, has become as deadly as poison. Civilizations turn to dust from sickness within. The very act of using power is a step towards damnation, creating a powerful dilemma where power is, very act of using power is a step towards damnation, creating a dilemma where power is the only thing that can stop the world from being consumed. This framework makes your players ask, what price is too high for survival? Now, to help you implement this in your own games, I've created a free corruption tracker card that you can download right now. It's a handy reference PDF that tracks corruption points and lists the effects at each tier. You can print it out for each player or use it digitally at your table. The link to download it is for free in the description below. Just head to my Gumroad page and grab your copy. And that's where your creativity takes over. How would you use these ideas in your campaign? Would you focus on the political drama of fracturing kingdoms, the sheer horror of surviving in the wastelands, or the epic quest to the corruption's heart? What unique twists would you add to make it your own? I'd love to hear your ideas for a world tainted by its own magic. Drop a comment below and let me know how you'd run this type of campaign. And if you found this tutorial helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more world building guides and campaign design tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.